Hey, welcome. I'm trying to start a couple of minutes early here, waiting for my pal Chase Jarvis to arrive. I thought I'd just get on here and let you all start piling in and talk to Chase and myself while we have a little conversation. And I've known Chase for a bunch of years, and we hadn't talked about what we're going to talk about. Chase is originally an athlete, and then a photographer, and a photographer of athletes, of sports, and is the founder of creativeLIVE, which is it's like the best online teaching platform for creatives. He also has a book out, his own, I don't know if I think it's his first book. But we're going to have a talk about, hey, Jennifer and Cat Frank and Mo and Porter Gray and Rubino and Him Good, there's some new people here, Hermano, closed letterer type, you're new, how you doing? John Lau, Bamboo Online, Colin Winter, good to see you. Giuseppe Argento, hey, you changed your little picture. Him Good, 12:30 back in India. Always wait for your live stream. Hey, really? That's really sweet. I appreciate that, man. That's really kind of you, Him Good. Thanks for showing up. That's really great. Hey, Proud Corzon. Yeah, creativeLIVE. It's a groovy thing, man. New Lotus, darling. How are you? Haiku, Dominic. Intuitive Media, you are off. Prayagash, Nicholas, Pamela, 77. Pamela, you are number one in my book. You're not 77, you are number one, okay? I'm just saying. Haroon Speaks, good to see you. Siglas, Sig. Haiku, love the bird sounds. Yeah, those are mechanical birds. We got to go out and wind them every morning. And those are actually purple martins. Purple martin, fantastic bird. They summer here, and then they winter in Brazil. They fly all the way to Brazil. They come back here. They're like salmon. They come back here exactly to this place where they were born, and they hatch a new thing, and then they fly back to Brazil in the winter. It's crazy. I know you can't tell where the bird sound loops. I know you got to listen to really carefully. And how is it a creative video? How is it a Rancho Victoria? It's good. It's good because we make it good. Sarah, good to see you here. William Tara, you are new. Good to see you. Master Programmer, you are master. Jerry Grow, very cool. Mark Gallen joined. Like I said, we're gonna have my old pal Chase Jarvis here. We know each other for a bunch of years. He's originally an athlete, and then a photographer of athletics, and then he was like a kind of world-class soccer football player, and then switched to creativeLIVE and runs that whole show, which is fantastic. And he has his first book out. We're not going to talk about the book. Hey, 512 Carolyn, I think it's Carolyn. Sloppy Perfect. Whoa, hey, how are you, darling? Hey, we should have done the dinner series here. That would be cool. And this past weekend would have been the first of our rancho, of our workouts, but it didn't work. Had to first client pitch to date, recommended for the nerves. Practice, breathe. And I think Chase and that's what I'd like to talk to him about, because I'm talking a lot about that subject. Something near and dear to me, fear, and living in it, dealing with it. I think that's a fascinating subject. Hi, Carolyn. Hey, by the way, Carol, you got me wrong one time, by the way. I had made some post and you had attributed it to some kind of like me slighting mental illness, and I would never do that. So I was read wrong, and I apologize, because you're one of the last people that I would want to piss off. Okay? Just want to clear that up. Too much coffee. Too much coffee today. Laura was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a coffee. You want one?" I'm like, "Well, of course I do." And I do. How's my gals? Jess, Kirk, Christian, Lex Rinkroy, good to see you again. Whitetail Moon, very good name. Plima, what's up? Sound effects, birds. It is sound effects. It is a recording, and finding the loop that loop thing. It takes a long time. I hear it all the time. Capio, hey Julie, nice to see you. Travessa, hey. Was your talk with Creative Mornings recording? Couldn't log in. It was, and I'll have to find out. I'll have to find out where that was. Somebody else asked about that too. It was recorded. Go to Creative Mornings Austin. I think they would have it there. Hey, there's a view here that go live. See what happens. I'm calling up Mr. Chase Jarvis himself. I gave him a little bit of an intro. Don't really want to do the. Hello.
Hello, good sir.
Good looking man. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you, good looking man.
So where are you calling out of? Home?
We have a little beach house, which is about an hour and a half north of Seattle. It's been in my family for 90 years.
Oh, no way.
90 years. And I have the deed, actually. It's in the back bedroom. $10. My great aunt's grandmother paid $10 for it, and it's right on. I just got out of the ocean like 5 minutes ago, ran in, put my hand through my hair, and I'm still a little wet behind the ears, back behind my lower back is still a little wet, shirt sticking to me, got some wet shins here.
On a board or just swimming?
Just for a swim, and it's cold. It's 48 degrees in the water up here, so
sure.
that's my morning cold routine. But I'm in the process of doing a little, my creative, I guess, project during this time is to just do a little refresh on the house up here. So, I mean, you can see we got the wood paneling. It's like mid-century vibe, and that's what I've been doing in my non-work hours.
The house that we live in is the original ranch on this property that now it's in a subdivision. So you drive into a subdivision, you're like, what? I'm going to a ranch, and it's just like chuck houses, and then it's like there's 2 trees, and then there's this long road you go down to, and then there's like 50 acres. And but the house, when we moved in, it was like some manic depressive had lived here. It was like shit brown and piss yellow inside. like 2 weeks of whitewashing with paint. But hey, we didn't talk about what to talk about, and I didn't feel that you needed a prep or we needed to do that. But I was thinking about you this morning, and I know that you've spoken about this before. And what I'm getting a lot, and I would like your take on this. What I'm getting a lot, Chase, is people are, because I'm doing these live things, and also I'm doing a lot of the Zoom talks, and people are kind of coming to me and saying, "Hey, James, how can I be creative in these times, and in times of fear?" How can I be creative with all the stress in my body, in the atmosphere, in my family, And I have a kind of a stock answer, and my stock answer is basically the things that I do. And I know that you have a probably similar morning ritual. I think, I know a number of people who have that kind of similar, like, dare I say, Tony Robbins actually has this.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. Do you mind kind of sharing that? Because I think that process, a lot of people are not kind of clued into how to kind of recenter and realign yourself and kind of get that the fear and stress and anxiety out of your body, out of this and out of this.
First of all, I'm a huge fan of morning routines, and what I find in this time, like, there's so many things we can't control that I try and take control of the things that I can, and that's what I do with my time and what I do with my brain and my body. And for me, that starts first thing in the morning. I've got a series of a handful of behaviors that I've been tracking for like 10 years. The most recent one that I've added is really doubling down on sleep. This is not rocket science, right? There's no fancy solution in here, but it's just the basics. And my morning routine looks like I try and wake up without an alarm. I usually do that in the 6s at some point, usually sort of like 6:15 or so. And exercise, some sort of moving my body. Usually hot and cold plunge if I'm at home, or here I'm up at our little beach house, as I mentioned. That's just straight up cold water.
Are you a Wim Hof fan?
I am, yeah, big fan. I'm less about the breathing aspects of it because I've been cold water therapy for probably 6.5 years now, so I don't need to do the drama to get in cold water. I just spent about 4 minutes in 48-degree water for the second time today, right before we got in here, because I did some work and needed a little refresh. And usually some sort of a creative activity as early as possible in the morning when I'm fresh. And you and I have talked about this before. We both put out books last year in the fall, actually, right over here. Creative Calling,
Put it up.
which is so it's a heavy lift to write a book, especially for visual people like you and me, right? We're more like visual artists, so words are harder for me to come by, and so I needed to have a discipline of writing every morning, and I did that for probably 12 months. And so I didn't do that this morning, but I didn't do it this morning because I've got some things that I'm planning on working on this evening. But generally, those are like a handful of things that I'm doing virtually every day, some sort of a creative activity, and I try and prioritize that. What's the most important thing to me? I sent 4 or 5 emails about 10 o'clock. Got some exercise right when I woke up, some eggs, get a little protein, and I try and repeat that because, again, there's so many things we can't control. I try and take advantage of the things that I can and try and be really consistent with that stuff.
You and I are leading dual lives, man. It's awesome. One question about the book.
Sure.
Did you find, or do you find, that the writing has become easier now?
Oh, for sure. But this is, to be fair, this is after riding that roller coaster that all the creators who are listening are very familiar with. Like, oh my God, this project's awesome. So fun. This is an amazing. Oh my God, what am I doing? Oh my God, this is terrible. This sucks. I suck.
Yeah.
You just ride this roller coaster. And I remember being so deep in it. At one point, I'm like, this is just terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. At least, though, this is like a 4:30 a.m. thought. Like, you know what? If it all sucks, I can type really fast now. There's got to be some silver lining. And
at least I've got my day job.
Totally. At least I can move my fingers and
it's funny because
think and type fast.
Yeah, writing. Putting perfection out. Laura and I were just looking in the studio that I've got built out there that I haven't been in a year because I'm really kind of not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
As far as a designer, as far as a computer, I use text edit.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
But we're looking at kind of rethinking that space because we're not using it as a design studio anymore, which is interesting. The writing has become much more interesting if I can kind of plant visuals in someone's head without having to make the visual myself.
Yeah,
I feel like people do a much better job of it anyway. So
but this is I call it creative cross-training. Like, I was one of the top commercial photographers for 15 years, and when you've done like and this as a designer, you've mastered it. And people say, if this is a question I get often, like, how do you know when you've mastered something? And my response is, if you have to ask, you haven't. And as I remember talking to you over, I think, some tacos or some Thai food in San Francisco about this. And when you've mastered something, the benefit of putting 10 or 20,000 hours and actually living all of the emotions and all the different skills and all the different in a particular discipline is that when you understand mastery, you can then more easily lift and stamp that into other areas of your life because you understand the benefits of mastery. And I find that to be like an amazing catapult. It's like you learn how to learn, and you learn the ways to create leverage, and you learn things that are that you might be necessarily more inclined to than someone else about this particular aspect of a new endeavor. So for me, I like creative cross-training. I try and keep like a handful of different things going. That's one of the reasons Well, the number one reason I wrote the book is because I had to get the ideas out of my head. But
Yeah,
I was like, all right, I'm just going to start writing long before I had a book deal. And when I amassed an amount of work and I went to my agent and said, hey, is this interesting or not? That sent me down a path of writing.
yeah,
And right now I'm on a real kick of working with my hands. I just mentioned, I'm up here at the family beach house, which is, built in 1920 something and renovated in the 50s. And like I'm gonna try and do a lot on just the some of the guts of the house, some of the design, and it's a project my wife and I are working on, and that's going to be a thing that I'll work on, probably now through the front half of the summer. And so I try and bounce around a lot, not dissimilar to what you said about changing the function of the studio. Like I'm not taking huge commercial photography assignments. I'm focused on creative live and building businesses. I'm focused on writing now, which is an almost everyday habit. I'm looking for other things. And to me, that is a way that I think stay creatively fit.
hmm
I don't know is that a concept that you are familiar with, or is that
yeah,
how
totally.
do you think about it?
Especially since since moving out of New York and moving to Texas, the Texas thing has been, you have some privy information that most people don't have, but Texas has been really hard. It
Yeah,
was a really difficult move. One, we've got two kids. We moved here for in-laws and babysitting, not a career move.
yeah,
Moved for love.
yeah,
And what happens when you move out of hotspot Williamsburg, Brooklyn, is clients think you're dead, you're too expensive, you're not interested, you're this, you're that, and commercial work starts to drop off. So for myself, I had to kind of really retool and figure out like what is my purpose
yeah.
and what is my gift. And I realized, and that's why you and I are talking, is I realized that my gift is and has always been teaching.
Yeah.
Has
You're
always been.
such a natural, man.
Yeah,
Such a
yeah.
natural. I was watching your Creative Live class on posters the other day. Like someone asked me for some recommendations, and I usually go and grab like a handful of my favorites and shoot them to
hmm
people. It's so good. And you are such a natural, like crazy. You have to triple down on it, man. And I know
So
that you're doing a lot more of that with your workshops and stuff at
yeah,
the ranch. And
so trying to figure out how to use the same tools and basically trying to coach or train people into the level of creativity that I had and have. You
yeah,
know, it's an interesting process, kind of not doing the work but helping other people get to,
yeah,
to make that work. Um, can you share some of the kind of like going from, I was saying earlier that you were an athlete and a photographer or a skateboard guy and a
yep,
footballer, a soccer player,
yeah,
and then a photographer, and then you photograph sports photography
yeah.
into commercial photography, and then that the switch that I'm more interested in is the creative live because it's a teaching format.
Sure,
So
sure,
can
sure.
you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that aligns with what I was just sharing. Like staying on the move
Yeah.
is a huge part of what it means to stay creative for me and to stay out of ruts. And if I find myself getting too comfortable, as I did in commercial photography, like I need to keep moving. And people, again, I don't say this very publicly very often, but when you've done thousands of shoots at, for Fortune 100 brands and it just becomes, when you have the thing that you wanted 10 years ago and you have it for 10 years, you start to, go a little bit crazy. Like, wow, is it weird to like want to keep moving? But for me, that's always been key. And it's always been part of, I find that it actually re-energizes some, parts of me that had gone stale or soft in a fitness sort of way. And you highlighted, I was a little skateboard BMX punk, and that helped me understand there's this fusion between creativity and sports that I never felt growing up. It was either like you're a creator or a jock, and I ended up going to college on a soccer scholarship. So I ran to that mostly because it was where we could find acceptance. And I was naturally gifted at that and this creativity stuff. While it was my true passion, my second grade teacher told me I was better at sports. So I ran to sports. Like we just do what what culture tells us as a young
Yeah,
person. And you
crazy.
start getting comfortable with your ideas and the photography thing after 10 years, I was like, okay, now what? And I realized that ditching everything that everybody else wanted for me to pursue my heart and become a photographer, and then to have mastered that and realize, okay, now sort of what's next for me, I wanted to start making things in a sort of a meta sense, not dissimilar to you wanting to start teaching. So I started experimenting with technology and software, and I did an iPhone app, which was the first iPhone app that allowed you to take a picture, add a thing called a filter to it, and share it to this new thing called a social network for photography. And the app was called Best Camera, and it went on to be the app of the year on the Apple platform in 2009, a couple of years before Instagram, year and a half. And that helped me understand, wait a minute, so this I can make, as a creator, I can make the pictures, and then I can make tools that make pictures. And those tools that make pictures, they help other people. They help millions of people. And that was an app that was, downloaded millions of times and whatnot. And then after making tools, I was like, okay, what about then making a platform that helped people understand how to use the tools?
Yeah.
And that was the birth of creativeLIVE. So there was not some sort of master plan when I was, at the peak of my career in photography that I want to go do something. I just pulled on hunches. Like mobile photography was interesting to me, and so I followed my curiosity rather than some master plan. No MBA, no business school, none of that shit. It was like, what is interesting to me, and I pulled on that thread, and that thread was mobile photography, and I realized that the tools that were out there sucked. So maybe I could make a better tool, and if I
Yeah.
didn't make a better one, then I at least learned something. So
Yeah.
to me, there was this following of the curiosity, especially in the land. I had, my peer photographers are like, you're shooting with $110,000 Hasselblad rig. Like, why do you give a shit about an iPhone? And I was like, I'd like the iPhone's always with me, and my Hasselblad's most of the time in my studio on the shelf when
Yeah.
I'm out living daily life.
Yeah.
And despite being sort of shit talked by my peers, I was like, yeah, well, I'm just going to trust my instinct
Yeah.
and pull on the thread. And that thread turned into Best Camera. Best Camera turned into, and that was back when apps were $3 or $4. And that gave me some capital to then experiment with creativeLIVE. So there was this following of curiosity, even when it doesn't make sense from a practical standpoint, even when people are telling you not to. And, I think if ultimately that gave rise to creativeLIVE, to me, that's now been I think we're 10 years in last week.
Cool.
And I feel like we're just getting started. And it's crazy to figure out how valuable that thing is right now. I'm busier than I've ever been with that thing, because now the world realizes that, like, we got to learn this stuff on the internet from people like James Victori, rather than necessarily going to art school.
Yeah.
And so, as it transitions, here we are, kicking off a whole new chapter for the company. And I don't know, there's this, if that retraces the arc that you were looking for, but it's been about pursuing my curiosity more than some master plan. And that the trusting that all you need to see is the next step or two, not the whole staircase.
Yeah.
And to me, that was really important.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I remember well from you and your book is this idea of following, and this is hard to do, is following the things that excite you at a cellular level.
Yeah.
Right? And it's following this kind of the intuition, the hunch, the curiosity. That's a huge word for me now, is curiosity, but not even curiosity in like in the creative sense anymore. It's gotten, even for me, it's got to develop even further. But yeah, it's this idea of like, people are always asking me to, like, James, how do I find my voice? Like it's in a drawer, or like it's in Bali or something. You gotta go. And I think the idea is, and what I tell them is like, it's not about finding it; it's about allowing.
Yeah.
And that's hard, because that means vulnerability.
For sure. And that is a difficult decision and a difficult path for so many people who've been programmed. And here's the catch, is the people that have been programming you for your entire life, they love you very much and you love them. And that is why that is one of the hardest things on the planet, is to ignore the things that your parents, your peers, your spouse, your career counselor, your grandma, like, these are people that care about you and for whom you respect mostly, and they're telling you what to do
Yes.
based on a map that they had for their life, that, or their friends' lives, or what they saw on TV, and that's not a prescription.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm telling you, I don't. It's not that I think it's not a prescription for you. I'm telling you, if you're listening right now, it's not a prescription for you. They're
Yeah.
giving you instructions for a life that they've never lived,
Yeah.
and in a time that they're not living in. And so this grokking, this ability to truly turn inside, be vulnerable. What if it's not cool to want to be the world's, to love Legos, but you're obsessed with Legos? I'm like, pull on that string. What's behind it? Is it about puzzles? Is it about actually working for Lego? Is it about designing? Is it about building? Is it about blocks? Like, what is it? And you only really know if you can tug on that string and get
Yeah.
involved and, get up to your eyeballs in it.
Curiosity.
And yeah, it's your curiosity. And to do that in the face of to fly in the face of the people who are telling you to do something otherwise, like go get a job, go to art school, go get your business degree, all
Yeah.
these things, they mean well, but that's never served me. And nor do I know that has served, any of the hundreds of people that I've had in my podcast or Creative Live. In fact, just the opposite.
Anybody, I wrote about it in Effect Perfection, and they're well-meaning, and they care for you, and they want to protect you.
Yeah.
They want to protect you from failure. They want to protect you from, and I had a coaching client I was talking to the other day, and she said, oh, my parents, they were fully behind me in art school and stuff. She said, but they did want me to get a degree as a medical technician first. And I'm like, no. So they didn't back you. This is what they put in the back of your brain.
Totally.
They were not behind you.
Yeah.
You might have paid for art school, but they were not behind you. And this is where you're coming from now.
Yeah. It is so true, and that is hard to recognize. And you said it earlier, being vulnerable, being real, because we've got all these messages, and trying to deprogram, unlearn all of these messages is job one for people. It really is. And how do you do that? How do you come to trust yourself? It is through small little disobedient moves over and over again. And when you have fear and you do it anyway, and something small, and I'm not saying like, should I bungee jump or not? This is like small things on a regular basis with your own creativity, or in a social situation. Like, when you react against and you play through the fear, you do the thing that you're afraid to do, and you do it enough times in a small, lightweight way, you learn a tiny lesson.
Yeah.
And that tiny lesson is that I'm okay. And you know what? I'm going to be okay. And it's the repetition of that small, lightweight rebellion to what everybody else wants for you, and towards the thing that you know to be true, even if it's weird.
Yeah.
That to me is that is the key to understanding who you are and how you can pursue something that will bring you great joy in life.
Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. Yeah. And the way to recognize that thing is when it shows up in your body. When you have that feeling in your gut, in your solar plexus or whatever, and you're like, oh, and again, here's where my curiosity becomes peaked. This is where my understanding of the word. Then you have to start being curious about that feeling.
I started exploring the feeling of, for sure.
At it and go, oh, hello. What's your purpose here?
A lot of time that's pain too.
Oh yeah.
A lot of time, I think if we just talked about it as curiosity or intrigue, I think we would be leaving out a really big part of it. And that's like, why do I think like this? Why do I behave like this? And, usually there's a piece of you that you haven't wanted to look closely at. But that's where the best stuff is. It's like, if you drew a diagram, it's like fear and then best shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the other side of it. You know what I mean? And I don't know anyone who hasn't. Brene Brown was amazing, obviously, and she So at some point on one of the podcast interviews we've done together, she's like, nothing in my life that has been truly worthwhile, I was not scared shitless to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's usually a good sign.
It is. Well, I'm curious, what's the how are you specifically managing your time? I know you got two little ones there on the farm, the ranch. What's the, are you able to carve out some time early or late for yourself, or how are you managing?
You know, one of the things that I'm trying to get back to is my morning schedule, because it just got
Yeah,
all, because we kind of just
yeah,
kind of, we did, there was no date that started
for
it.
sure.
It
Yeah,
was just
it's
kind of
like
a mess.
the
It was just
frog
like,
getting boiled, right?
wait, what
It's
do we, oh, what's closed today? Wait a
yeah,
minute, right? So
yeah,
I'm trying to get back to that, because I have a very early rise, and I have, and my body does it, and I'm trying to get back to that. I'm trying to get back to my this and my gratitude and my reading and my blah, blah, blah. That's super important to me. Um, uh, all of my income was either people coming here to learn from me or me traveling all around the world. I
yeah.
had a huge schedule of corporate workshops. April,
Zero.
May, April,
Yeah,
May, nothing.
yeah,
Um, so one of my practices is just to kind of, this is great. This is super. This is where it's supposed to be. And
yeah,
yes, very much retooling, very much working on the future, very much just being able to take stock of where I am, where Laura is, and who we are as a couple, and who we are as people, um, um, and trying to get through this with with growth and with love and with compassion,
yeah,
and enjoy the very much head on time with our children, because
yeah,
it's been really great. Um, and what I'm trying to get everybody to understand when I do the Instagram live stuff is I get all these questions about stress and fear and anxiety, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, because you can't do jack shit if
yeah,
you're all hopped up on if your nervous system is in shutdown mode. It's nothing's going to happen, baby. So here, let's so that's where we are, is kind of like trying to figure out how to move forward. So when this does break, and before the end of the year, it's just going to be it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, and just kind of create a future vision for myself. And understand that nothing is final right now, so it's all okay.
yeah, man. And it's if you're like me, it's also okay to continue to remind yourself of that. That's not
Yeah,
something that just like,
yeah,
we're biologically wired to look for negativity.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
and that's why I gratitude practice, and that's why I asked you so that you could put it out there in the world so I can grab onto the thing that James is doing and remind myself.
Yeah.
And um, just that's like, what can we do to, create personal power, create
Yeah.
personal connection, compassion, empathy during this time.
Yeah.
So
Hey, dude, it's great chatting with you.
I've missed your face. It's been like a couple of months since I've seen your face. Yeah.
Good face.
It's a good face, man. Well, I tune into these things all the time. I appreciate you having me on, and love to Laura and the kids, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I got to give another shout out for your class is so good. Your poster design class
We're
on Creative
we're we're
Live.
overdue for something else.
Yeah, we are. We are. Let's do some scheming, my friend. Thanks for having me
Okay.
on the show.
Okay. Okay, buddy. You
Much
take it
much
easy.
gratitude to everybody in James's community. You guys crush it. It's been so fun to watch you doing these every day, man. Keep it
Thanks,
up.
man.
I'm here. Big fan.
Thanks. Thanks, Chase. Adios.
Love you, brother. See ya.
Bye. So I'm going to hang out here for a bit. If you guys still want to uh, talk. Thanks, Chess. Two of my favorite guys, Jess Stevens. Yeah, Chase is he's a good guy. I catch up with him. I've been in New York. Super guy. Kind of one of the core like business mentors that I go to when I have questions. And some of the other ones are coming on later this week. And Harley from Shopify, and super smart. He's a super smart guy. And Brad Montague is going to be next week, I think, if we can kind of make a date. And also John Acuff is going to come on. Super smart guy. And that's the thing is like they're just kind of they're just pals. Yeah, I love him. Thanks so much. That's cool. Let me see. I started doing a small 100-day art project daily. Thanks to your repetition. That's the thing. It's like repetition, action, 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 action. You don't go to the gym and you don't go to the gym, do 10 push-ups and leave, and go to the gym and do 10 push-ups and leave. That's not progress. It's not progress. And then you got to put variations into the push-ups, and you got to put some fun into the push-ups, or else you don't continue to do them. Then the repetition becomes stale, right? So there are so many practices, so many different ways to stay sharp and stay on target, and achieve these goals that we want. James Torrey, great point. Thank you, Hillary Harris. Hillary Harris loves you. Hillary, hey everybody, Hillary Harris loves you. That's a super statement. A super statement. That's a super gal. Chris Rodrigo, I'm surprised I'm discovering because I stopped judging myself. Oh, good. Ab in sync. Good. Yeah, no judgment. No judgment. Because you suck at it. I suck at it. I'm a terrible judge of my work. I'm a terrible judge of your work. Don't ask me what I think of your work. No, just make it. Just. James, your class is on design on creativeLIVE. Yes, and I will disagree with Chase. My class on creativeLIVE is good. It's good, and it's called something about poster design, I think. But go look at it. Class on creativeLIVE is good, and the ideas are good. I don't think you're going to learn anything about making a poster, but um, uh, definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. And I don't want to poo-poo my own stuff, and there are some really great stuff on creativeLIVE. Where you go, the attention goes, energy flows. Choose the light and the good stuff. Very good. Playing by the sea. You bet. You bet. Proud Corazon. Beautiful. Major fan of Chase's. Delight to meet James. Thanks for the session. Porter Gray. Thank you, sirs. Amazing. Yay. Today said I found myself thinking of the students who see my art and say, wow, you're so good. And I'm like, really? hey, hello, Miria. Stop fucking judging. Why are you so judgy? Why are you so judgy? You got to learn to love the work and love the process, or else you're never going to be happy. You never, I mean, and no creator, listen, get this, no creator, no author, no dancer does a piece and goes, that was fucking great. That was great. Listen, here's the thing. I know this because I know some of these people. And everybody that goes on the Oprah show, everybody, every celebrity, every king, every hero that goes on the Oprah show, they say, and cut. The first thing that they do is they will look over at Oprah and they will say, was that okay? That's how it works. That's how it works. You are not different than them. They are not different than you. Listen, most of you, probably all of you, can look at 2 or 3 people who you think is just like, oh my God, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. That's the career I want. The only difference between you and them is that they're doing it. It's just that they're doing it. It's not that they're suffering less. It's not that it's easier for them. Certainly not. Probably not. It's probably harder for them because they're playing at this level that they need to keep up now. And I understand that because I need to keep playing at this top level. Nice talk, guys. Thanks, William. Good. Thanks for showing up. Whew, that was good. Hello, Karen. Good to see you again. Online classes on design. Yes and no. Yes, I have a Skillshare class. I have a creativeLIVE class. I have my own little webinars on jamesvictoria.com. Find that in the link in my Instagram. I have, there's a bunch of stuff out there that you can look for. Everybody keeps asking me for a master class, and I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not quite sure what I need to do, but I will think about it. I don't know if the world needs another master class. But I'll think about it. And where I'm putting my emphasis right now is the coaching. So it's like a master class like this, like one-on-one, Skype for an hour every week, and we really create some damage that way. Do you teach us how you can do that? Oops, sorry. You have online classes. Do you teach us? Yes, I teach everybody. Thanks for this today. Genuine, real words that just got back to the core of practicing love. It's all about love. How do you in-sync? How do you take art to the next level? Through every guru has a guru. I have a guru. I have a shaman that I go to, and I could be yours. No, there's people. There's people who we work with, and the people who you study with. That's how it works. Plaid Oranges, big thumbs up. Wix Playground, man, you guys rock. Wix. I wish you had a tagline. Wix, the creative website. The website, the web platform for creatives. I wish you had a catchphrase that I could use. I'd just go, pew. Tell me if you do. Just type it out. I'll say it. Level up, Lucky Elizabeth. Every day it gets better. That's right. Porter Gray, so much to take in, digest. Biggest takeaway is how do you just fucking do? Just stop being afraid. Thank you, Chase and Chase. Yes, that's what it is. Hey, Bruno, you rock. Yeah, it's just doing. It's just doing. It's just doing. It's okay. Because the fear is going to be there. The hardest part is just starting. And when you get moving, don't stop. And don't listen to anybody else, even yourself. Don't even listen to yourself. Don't listen to me, because I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know what you're capable of. Rubino, hey, nice flower. Thank you. Bruno, thanks for the smiles. How are you guys doing? Where are y'all from? Come here often? May I buy you a coffee? It is cold, but it is good. I'm game to answer some questions if you have. Let me see what happened way up at the top. Let me see. Two favorite creators, Authentic Jackie, Bianca Mattel, Chase joined. Oh yeah, we talked to him. Colin Winter, Just Fati, sup Jarvis. This is fun. Michelle Boyer, what's on? $10,000. Oh, $10, amazing. Playing by the sea, $10, amazing. What is $10? Looking fresh, intuitive medium. I hope you're talking to me. What do you mean $10? My Patreon? Yes, $10 a month. There's another way to learn from me. Is I go to my Instagram link, go to the weekly podcast. Got a weekly podcast. I put something out every week, and the last couple of weeks have been pretty intense. Talking about some real shit, and it's $10 a month. It's like buying me a chai latte once a month. Just caught it on live. Love talking about the inner work of the reviewing your childhood. Been doing this for the past couple of years. The work never stops. No, I'm Jason Craig. No, the work never stops. DJ Forza, hey, what's up? Work never stops. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't, because you never stop. Because there's such deeper and deeper levels of you. It's the yoga of life. You never master it. You just keep getting better and better and better and better. But most people don't. Most people kind of stop. I'm sorry to say, most people hit like 30 or 35 and they kind of stop. And they kind of take on 5 to 10 pounds every year, and they stop learning, and they're no longer a student of life, and they, kind of fall into their patterns. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's okay, but you need to be a student of life. You need to understand the yoga of life, where there's just so many different beautiful levels of you. There are so many different levels of you. Getting like dive bombed by a couple of hummingbirds here. Hey, CKF Maria, good to see you here. How are you implementing those tools you've learned from mastering a skill now in the quarantine? Sharpening them. That's the thing. It's like you stay on it. Just can't, and there's no falling backwards. Like I said, I've gotten off my morning plan, because it's just like, what day is it? What's happening? And I have to kind of get back on that, because the kids are home all the time. Their schedule has been crazy. They're with us all the time. They, gotta get back on the plan. Gotta get back. And here's the thing. If I follow through on my morning regime, which I do with similar to the things that Chase does, and I add a gratitude, and I add journaling, or Every act that I do, every act that James Victori does to improve James Victori's self-focus, it's an act of self-love. And it's me telling the universe that I'm worth it. And that I believe that I'm worth it. And the universe will make things happen for me. Gotta tell you, that's true. And it's true because I believe it's true. And that's all that matters. What a beautiful moment to realize who you are. Yes, it is. It is. It's a crazy. It's like, what did you do during, it's like, hey, what did you do during the COVID shutdown? Well, I worked on me and I realized my self-worth. That's heavy. That's heavy. Okay, let's see what's going on. What's the more recent thing? Let's see. So much to digest. Stop being afraid. Yep. Love your talks. Appreciate everything you share and how down to earth you are. Proud Corazon. I'm not sure if you're talking to me. Oh, In Sync. You're from India. Very cool. Came in late, but after the party, it's even lit. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're going long. We're going long here. Love to have a cold coffee, actually. Porter Gray. Yeah, drop by sometimes. Somebody from Lithuania, somebody from Spain. Hey, good to see you, man. That's great. Favorite novel? I don't read novels. What practices do you daily? I heard gratitude. Proud Corazon, daily practices. When I'm on it, daily practices, waking up and having a kind of a breathing meditation and kind of just going through my body and saying hello, seeing what's going on in my mind, what's going on in my heart, what's going on in my solar plexus, what's going on in my gut, what are those feelings. And sometimes it's just like the waterworks come, right? So breathe through that and be curious about all the stuff that comes up. Do a gratitude journal, so 1 page of gratitude. If I necessarily have to do journaling, there's things that I have to write down, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, I write that down. Exercise every day, some form of exercise, preferably out running with calisthenics. I wish I had the ocean in my backyard, that would be awesome. But I've got a big ass field that I can run and exercise in. Those are the things: breathing, meditation, the exercise, breakfast, eating, yeah, riding, hardcore Texan kicking butt at the dirty tracks. Either when you're riding your bike or on the tracks, live respect. That's funny. Thanks, Bruno. Follow you enough to know your work instinctual, but what's the thing that's most feeding your creativity and soul right now? DS Mulinax. What's feeding my soul right now is my soul, is curiosity about it, is getting to know it, is getting trying to set it more free, trying to live more freely, trying to get the be curious about any long-standing crap I have in me, patterns, habits that were given to me, and how to address those in me so I can live a more happy, more prosperous, more free life. And I think that's what a lot of men are looking for in their lives, is a level of freedom, and it will only come through vulnerability. It'll only come from taking off that mask. So I think I'm working on taking off that mask. Actually, it's an interesting thing. When he takes the glasses off, you know it's real. Hey, getting close to the big 60 and still growing and learning creatively. That's why life is so cool. Yeah, Colin Winterman. Yeah, you just keep going. It's just you get to deeper levels, and it's like when you get to that 80 and you really don't give a shit. That's when it's gonna be cool, right? Secret. Yeah, The Secret and the Law of Attraction and all that stuff. Yes, it's all in there. Oh, I've been deep in thought, answering the big hole, big who. I like your professional hellraiser. Yes, I was talking to you. You're so down to earth. Oh, yes, I'm talking to you. Talking to me? Proud Corazon? You're talking to me? So, the Bad Brains said attitude. Combine that with gratitude. Bad Brains, great band. Great band. Good job. Yoga and journaling is awesome. The law of attraction, that is, yes. Best way to give. The mitten and lace. Best way to give. Not sure what you mean. Can you rephrase that? How do you find the ability to have that routine with the kids around? No, that's why I don't have it right now, because I don't have that routine. But as a matter of fact, when I did have that routine, and I will get back to this, I had that routine because I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I know, it sounds crazy, but 4 o'clock, 4:30, that was it. And I, because I had to steal that time. That means I would go to bed at 10 o'clock when the kids go to, after we put the kids to sleep. Um, um, but it's the best time because there's nobody to bother you. You can put the coffee on, sit down and and you know that no one's coming by. It's really great. So you've got like maybe, hour and a half, 2 hours before the kids come, wake up. It's really great. Nomi Divine, James, you're so great. Thanks for sharing all this. You're welcome. You're welcome. I've done the same thing with releasing patterns and removing the mask. Also using this time to love myself and discover my self-worth. Thank you, universe. Proud Corazon, I love your answers. I love your statements. The biggest thing is not about getting up in the morning. The biggest thing is all of that work, the journaling and the gratitude and the meditation and the breathing and all. It's all facing yourself. It's all facing yourself. It's all the thing that no one wants to do. No one. Got like 4 or 5 hummingbirds fighting over there. Nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do that work, but that's the good work. That's the beautiful work. That's the work of your life. Really getting to know yourself. And the funny thing is, the way I get to know myself best is working with other people. Is doing these coaching practices that I have. Go to my Instagram bio and look at the coaching breakthrough sessions. But working with other people and helping other people to break through these barriers helps me. Right? At one point in my life, I was on the National Ski Patrol, and I was an expert skier. Probably still am, or extremely good one, because I used to, in my off times, teach other people how to ski, and I was doing the basics over and over again, and I was really getting to know my body and my balance and my skis and my that's how it works. And it's the same thing now. Is like how do you do this? You can say, be able to focus on getting your dreams no matter what. Yes. Do you think that this is a test? Yes, it's a test. Of course it is. It was made just for you. It was made just for you. Not to make it sound weird, but yeah, this is you. This is you. This is for you. This is a gift. This is a gift if you can see it that way. And I know that people are sick, and I know that people are dying from it, and it's a fucking shame, and it's unfortunate. But if you are saved from that, and you are hale and healthy, and you are working and painting or creating or writing, this is a gift. Every fucking day is a gift if you can wrap your head around it. Used to wake up most times, the most beautiful time of day. Doing that work, we must face ourselves. Everything, yeah. So, yes, we're here to serve. That's the only, not to help, not to fix, but to serve. Yes. Hey, you guys, I really want to thank you for showing up for Chase. And there's not a lot of room for like give and take and answering questions and whatnot, but and I didn't want to keep him too long because he's a busy fucking guy. But I want to thank you for showing up because this means the world to me. And I'm happy to be here for you and answer questions and talk to you. To be of some service to you is terribly important to me. So I want to thank you for showing up. I want you to love each other. I want you to learn and grow from this process, from this phenomenon, and we will get through this better and stronger. and with a renewed love for other people. I have that because it's so funny to have to not know that you cannot go near anybody. It's kind of an interesting, weird thing. So I want to thank you all for showing up, and thank you for your questions and your rainbows, and you're very nice. You're very kind comments, and I love you, and I wish you well. And wash your hands and take care of yourself, and love everybody around you. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.